What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90, and I've got so many thoughts. If you've watched our post-match thoughts, again, myself, Neil, Manny joined us, and also Luke from Foxes Down Under, you would have saw our thoughts. But I've got so many thoughts buzzing for this game, and the way that we set up, the way that we played. I just want to talk about them on hindsight. That wasn't there in the initial reaction when we talked about it. So let's get into the first bit. Steve Cooper. There was rumors throughout the afternoon that the lineup was changing. He was going to play his 4-2-3-1, and we were going to play a slightly different formation. I thought, oh, and then there was rumors that Ricardo would come back into the team, and then I was like, this can't be happening. Vital side and Mavididi starting. Oh, Winks is back in the team, and lo and behold, they all did. Leicester City again. This is I haven't got the official formation or anything, but they set up like this. So, as mentioned, it's this same familiar to you. Looks like the Enzo system. So again, Hermansen in the back. Then we've got Vardy, again, Mavididi and Didi Buonanotte for Tau as the attacking four. We're going to come into the midfield in just a second. Winks goes back into the team after his superb performance against Southampton. Comes in for the team. Ricardo comes into that team as well. And then Justin, Okoli, and Fuss. Now, I want to mention these three first. I want to go through. So actually, let's start with the goalkeeper and how they perform. So initially, people going, "Oh wow, that's exactly what Enzo would do." Obviously, with KDH playing in a different, obviously leaving the club, Buonanotte taking his position, like for like fit, probably the best example to play. Justin, again, the same back four played against Southampton, but something different happened, and it's something that happened under Enzo more. First of all, when we used to play under Enzo, we had Okoli. Now, Okoli becomes a positive and negatives. When we play Okoli in this position, the benefit is you've got somebody on the last man that's going to close down. A few times he did this when other people lost the ball. He was the last man in, put a challenge, and he's got the pace and power to cover. What he lacks, though, is the passing ability of a Vestergaard. Now, Vestergaard has the reverse. Vestergaard has all the passing in the world, really good, able to spring passes, wait, just hold, and something that Anil said, and I think it's bang on, because I never thought of it before. He waits and holds as the person comes in, draws the attention, draws the risk, then plays off the pass. With Okoli, again, he's still learning. He's still 23. Still, I'm impressed with him so far. He'd play the ball and get us into these positions, especially playing into Winks and Ricardo to Fast and Justin. I thought he was good. But again, the with a Vestergaard against the pace, if we lose the ball, it's a certain goal. And you could argue in this team, yes, there's going to be certain goals. But something I want to mention, and something that they did a few times in the first half, I don't think they did as much in the second half. They pushed Justin over this way. They pushed Okoli, and they pushed actually Hermansen into the back line. So they had this box, and then obviously Ricardo would come from the right back, and then he would come and invert. So we saw Hermansen getting involved in the build up a few times. And people are going to talk about the second half. And they are right where they say it was poor. And I think most fans would agree that the second half was poor. It wasn't good enough. But I want to take it back. A, because they've been playing a certain system for 8 games in particular. B, if you remember Enzo's first game in charge was against Liverpool away in Asia, Thailand, I think it was, or Singapore. Can't remember the specific one. Over in Asia for that cup thing that we did. The problem was for that game is that in the first 25 minutes we were sublime. After that, the opposition, Liverpool, took over under Klopp and they absolutely demolished us. But we all said there's real positives to be built here in the first few minutes. If you wonder what I'm doing, I'm plugging in my laptop because I realised on low battery. Professional as ever, Neil. However, so with the way that we were playing and the formation we set up with, we started the game well. Now, we were all worried, and people from the outside were looking at Leicester and going, they're just a new Burnley. This was if Enzo Maresca stayed. And I think that was a lazy narrative. Now we've got these formations, these players, and we're going to build on this. I think that's a great, hopefully, let's see what he does. Because I asked for this. I was the one saying, and I'll take responsibility in terms of saying, when we played this way and when we've got an opportunity, and I got criticized from a comment with the live stream, and somebody said, how dare you think we can get top 10? And I was like, I genuinely think If we play this way and we are more committed to the style, and we've got other variations for top teams, which I'll get into later, we just have to have more tools in our belt rather than the one formation. We will be able to get a crack potentially the top 10. I'm not saying we're definitely. I said we have the potential to crack top 10. I think we're a top 10 side if we start playing the way we did. Look at the way we played against Southampton. We keep playing like that, and the difference is again between Southampton and Nottingham Forest is quite big, and the two games kind of showed two very different teams, two teams playing in different ways. Obviously, Southampton were down to 10 men, so it made a difference. But you can see that Forest are establishing a really solid, decent Premier League team. And in a short period of time, bearing in mind they came up the year we went down. No, they came up the season before, and then they stayed up, we went down, and then they've kind of so they've only been in the Premier League third year in a row now. They've beaten Liverpool, and they could have probably had more goals. There will be people criticizing and coming out going, do you know what? Leicester weren't as good as they could have been. And I definitely would agree. Even the first half, there were some really, really good signs there. But anyway, I'm going off topic. Let me get back to this. So formation-wise, looking at the back, again, Hermansen was slotting into the back. And again, Hermansen with that save at 25 minutes, sublime. I mentioned it in the post-match. It was like Schmeichel. It was like, oh, that's a goal. Oh, and I've not felt like, oh, how's he done that? How's he saved that? Oh, just can't say enough good things about him. Even though he's considered 3 goals, still think great player. Fass didn't lose the ball that many times. I think he's still developing, but I think he's better playing this position. This is something I had we talked about. If we are going to play, I would play a Coley in the middle. The reason why is because Fass isn't as bad as people gave him credit for, but if he loses the ball in these risky positions, it's game over. Especially in the Premier League. In the Championship, I think get away with it. In the Premier League, I don't think so. So I agree with playing a Coley as the main one. But the problem is, again, I think he's only 23, but working on his passing and his ability, because I think he's got, if he keeps performing and doing that, I think we've got a great player. Ricardo. Well, before we do that, James Justin. James Justin at this left centre-back position, not the one for me, but he's the best option we've got in that position now. At this current time, before the transfer window. If Enzo was here next season, I think this is an area that he'd definitely improve on. Callum Doyle from last season, good on the ball, but his turning circle was so slow. And for a young player, also surprising. On the ball, I think he was great, keeping possession, putting in really good crosses. But against, for example, if we had him in this position, I would have, if we had Callum Doyle, I think Callum Doyle would get annihilated with the pacing behind, with Elanga, who gave James Justin a run around. Let's be honest. But I think James Justin was not bad. I think that there was levels you could see between Elanga because they like to face the wingers up one-on-one. And we saw this with Justin on one side and on the other side with Callum Hudson-Odoi. James Justin, this is an area of weakness in the team. And this is, again, whether he's on the right and he's on the left, if he's one-on-one with a winger. And Elanga's a good winger. I think Man United didn't really want to let him go. I think he's a great player. And he was sold for like 5-10 mil or something small. But James Justin didn't have a not bad game. I think he's still adapting, and there's a reason why he was benched. If you've noticed where James Justin was used most under Enzo Maresca, it wasn't here. They tried him in this position, the Ricardo position, didn't really work. They also tried him on the right-hand side, if you remember. I remember the game against Stoke. They took Fatau off. They put in James Justin, and James Justin was used as a flying fullback, high playing, running up and down that wing. But again, with this team at the moment, that's the kind of weakness. A couple of other players in the middle. Winks, I think, in the first half was instrumental. Linking the play and his ability not just to win the ball back, but to play under pressure, play a 1-2, get out. And if you watch the goal again, I'm going to try and show you part of the goal, but I'm trying not to get banned from YouTube over it. Let me see if I can play this actually. For this one, again, this is before they score, and then they concede. Let me see if I can play this. Oh no, it's an advert. Okay. Again, doing this on the fly. I'm not as good as other people as doing it with this. But if you watch this and how it works, let me see if I can get the specific one. The ball was won back in this position. under Winks. So we've got the ball, we've turned it over, we've got some space, and then again, I think it was the 1-2 with Ricardo Pereira, and that leaves again, takes 4 players out of the game. And how many times we send that under Enzo, playing the ball forward? This is Harry Winks, by the way, getting the ball, and then he's got the space. These 2 central defenders, like crap, they've got to retreat because again, you've got Wolford and Ndidi on one side, and you've got Buonanotte on the other. We'll come on to those 2 individually, and obviously your wingers pushing out wide in these positions. So you've got to retreat. You've got to head back. And further on, again, I'm trying not to do this, trying not to get banned as well for this position. The ball ends up going to the left-hand side, and it ends up going to, again, a move that we looked at last time. The ball comes over to Wolford and Ndidi. Wolford and Ndidi then pass it on to Fatawu, to Mavididi. I'm excited to talk about this, even though there's some real bad points to this as well. He ends up passing it over to this, and look who's here. And this is something that we didn't get picked up on. You've got Mavididi in this position. Then who does he pick out? He picks as Thingy makes the run in, as he gets the ball 1-on-1 with a fullback. Well, I think both Nottingham Forest fullbacks had a good game. Winks makes the run in over here and gives the ball in. Sublime ball, really good. But the amount of distance he has to cover to put this across, if I can find this and put this off screen again, to put this in, to play, he points for it, and then he plays it in. And if you look, this is something that we've not seen that much in the team going forward. We've got 3 or 4 players in the box. Winks then gets the ball, cross it over Jamie Vardy, cross it over to Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy pulls back, scores. He could also have the option. Again, look, 3 players on Jamie Vardy. Facundo's waiting in here. Could be in a good position. Fatau's at a 1-on-1 as well. If you notice the number 19, I think that's I forgot what his name is. The fullback, their fullback is pointing at Facundo, but Fatau is free. And this is the advantage of the team. They've stretched the team, and they could have gone across to the back post, and Fatau would have been there for a tap in. There were some genuine good moments of play throughout the game. And I'm really excited to see what we do in terms of the build going forward. Another thing I want to mention as well, just in the first half, and this is something that people will be like, "Oh, the formation didn't work," and the formation we've lost 3 goals. We only put 1 shot on target, and I think that's a lazy narrative that I don't think reflects the real score of the game. I'll give you an example. So this is the first goal for theirs. So as you can see here, the ball's come in from, I think, a corner. Facundo has got the ball here. And what he should do, because we're all tacked in, he should just hit it out. Because we're all in the box, there isn't really a person to break from this. So he should hit it out, try and find a Vardy, and try and get the ball out, create some space, get back into shape, and then we absorb the pressure, try and win the ball back in the midfield, and then we can, or win the ball back, then circulate possession. The problem is with Facundo, and I think this is what Steve Cooper trained. And again, this is not to go, blame Steve Cooper, but when he's come into this, he's the new player in this formation, this squad. Some people know the roles. Winks, Ricardo know the roles. Ndidi knows the role, even though Ndidi was using a slightly different formation. What he does is he tries, again, this is a great opportunity, and a young player, you're going to get this, still rate him. What he does is he goes, I'm going to try and take on all the people. And in this, he gets the ball and he goes, you know what? I'm going to try and take a man on in his own box. As you can see here, then he gets squeezed 2-on-1. Loses the ball. Then the ball comes out. Then James Justin, again, loses the ball. Again, James Justin loses the ball. The ball gets circulated to them. James Justin, again, just have a look at this now. They recirculate again. Ball is saved. James Justin then saves the ball. Yates gets it, smashes it in the corner. Really good placement by Yates, but again, too easy. Individual errors lost us that for that goal, which is frustrating because up to that point we were so good. We were playing such good football. And it was frustrating that these little bits, and again, just to show you, Facundo, his opportunity there, and I don't blame him because the guy's trying. The guy's really trying to give everything for the team, but it was the wrong decision. Now, I just want Steve Cooper to go, do you know what? I appreciate your effort. I appreciate what you're trying to do, But in your own box, that's not the time to do it. If you're further up the field and you've got 2 players on and you want to have a go, that's fine. He's still adapting to this system. It's the first time he's actually played in a system like this. At times he was doing this further up the field. There was another time I remember about 20 minutes in, before we scored the first goal, he'd get the ball in this high 8 position. Let me see if I can show you. Like, I won't be able to show you on the replay. I'm just scared of, not scared. I don't want to get copyright strike to the video taken down. There was a position where we broke. Winks had got the ball and he played it through, and Buonanotte is in this position. Vardy is then again he's topped in, and Buonanotte has come in this position. Fatawu was free on this side, and all Buonanotte needs to do was pass the ball across to Fatawu, get the ball, and then maybe Jamie Vardy or Wilfred Ndidi would have run into the box, maybe even Mavididi to come in for a quick tap in. Fatawu was getting in some really, really good positions. But the problem is Buonanotte in this position got the ball and he kind of mashed it and skied it over. It was the little bit of rush or like, oh, I've got to create it all myself. I think he's just got to be taught, look, in a certain formation, in this formation, you can just pass the ball, move. Don't feel like you've got to do everything on your own. I think elements of that is because he's 19 years old. Talented player. And on a similar note, I would love Leicester City now to go, he's available for 5 million if we bought him from what Buenos Aires, River Plate or something like that, or another kind of team. That's worth the gamble. So hopefully they see that and they go, do you know what? We do need a scouting division in South America. And you've seen people like Joaquin on the channel. Diego's another one. Shout out Diego as well, who have said, look, there is an untapped market here and they're going for cheap. And you're looking at somebody like, as the best example, probably Caicedo. He cost a couple of mil, 500k, I think he was. Made his name, I think, in the Belgian league. Also, he had a good World Cup with Ecuador, and then has gone for 115 mil. And we're going back to that model. But we've got to start to lap up some of these talents, and also to utilize the Belgian league more. That sister club. The whole point of that, just like Chelsea have done, send them on loan to that team, like Strasbourg for Chelsea. Build them up, see if they're good enough, and then put them into the first team, and then they can kind of come up a level. And if they don't work, then they're only half a mil. I think that could be an opportunity. Anyway, we lost the game in this overall. We only created that one opportunity that we scored. That one big clear chance. But there were some elements there. The more we went away from that system, the more it didn't start to work. Now, was it a carbon copy of Enzo? Mostly yes, but there was some tweaks. And the tweaks were, let me get the formation in place. Now, let's get back to this old formation. When we're coming back here, the difference is now we take the emotion out of it a little bit. Obviously, we had Ricardo in this position, was Hudson-Odoi was giving him a run around. And I think, again, Ricardo is being a bit rusty. I think if he gets up to speed and he keeps playing this position, we all know how good Ricardo is. I don't think there's a single Leicester player who's like, yeah, it's terrible. He was a bit rusty, and he came up against Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's going to cause Premier League problems immediately and already. But now, again, we're getting the more we play this, the better it will be. Now, I've put a box midfield. That's not really how I saw it. Let me put these three back as a back three. So it was a Coley here. I'd say James Justin was further over in this position. Ricardo was here. Winks, I'd say it was more like this. It was a staggered. So what at times, Fatal was trying to find the player to overlap, and Buonanotte wasn't the player that was overlapping, even though he was on the right-hand side. But the slight tweak he made was that Ndidi wasn't getting in these positions as much. As the number 6, he was kind of doing the mid-block, but not blocking all of it, kind of marshalling this side. So he'd do the more defensive side of things, and Buonanotte would do the more offensive side and the more attacking side of things. Mavididi, and that's a slight little change that he made. And I'll show you the changes he made after the second half as well. We didn't look good. But I think part of that is because we haven't got the players for this formation to have like 2 squads that know what they're doing. Mavididi, again, he tried. It just wasn't his game. The fullback they had was good and kept him quiet, but he needed to try more and to do different things. I think he needed the opposite. When it was one-on-one, there was the opportunity of cutting in, going around. And this is nothing to complain about too much, because Nottingham Forest are a decent Premier League side, and we've just come up from the Championship. And that's okay. So, I've accidentally closed that tab. Now I've got it. Damn it. So I'm going to rebuild my formations. So in those positions, coming into that squad, again, Mavridini didn't have the best game. Fatal was having some good oppositions coming in. At times, he played the ball off, or indeed he was going to run, and he went into like autopilot mode, and nobody was there. And it was like, that's where we need it. So there needs to be a little bit more risk going forward. In the second half, we didn't look great. We were not good enough. There's positives to build on in the first half, but just remember, like we played against Liverpool in Asia, we had a little bit, and then we got battered. Now we could have conceded a lot more, but the ways we conceded was, I think, all James Justin had an error, Buonanotte for the first goal. Okoli had an error for the second goal. However, brilliant strike, brilliant take by Chris Wood, and people are absolutely screaming about him. And I'm like, well, he's doing well, and give him his credit where it's due, but let's not pretend like he's Erling Haaland, even though he's doing really, 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 really well. Well done to him. Another player I wanted to mention in there for the position as well was the way we played. And the last goal was Walt Foss. Header, he just gift wraps it. He just gives it on a bow and goes, here you go. And that's why I wouldn't play Fass as that main centre back, for that reason. And yes, it's 1 minute in the game, and I kind of contradicted myself because I said, oh, yes, Okoli, but I think Okoli would have dealt with it better. I think he's better in the air, more physical. And one thing that we need to work on, I think, is from set pieces, we need to get big strike, especially if they've got a Dominic Solanke. I remember D. Cordova Reed was welcoming him in the first game. And again, in this, Chris Wood, put Okoli on, because he's the like-for-like comparison. He's better with his head. He can marshal him. He's physical. I think he'd work a lot better. So, just some of my thoughts at the moment. There's probably more, because there's so many positives to build on. When we kind of relaxed and we didn't really give everything, we lost a little belief. We need the manager to pick us up, go, keep going, keep pushing. And that's what Enzo would say. And Cooper didn't really say that. A couple of other things. Second half, I don't know if you noticed, Connor Cody was out there talking and going, this is what we need to do. We need to change this, and we need to change this to Enzo, or this is how it's like to Enzo, to Cooper, and here's how we're going to play. So I could see Cody being a future manager. I think he's got the skills, got the gift, the gab. I think he's got the personality to be potentially a future manager if he gets his coaching badges. And this could be a formation that could really work for him and how he plays. Yeah, I'm really excited. So there was elements that I was really excited about. The reason why I was excited is because it was a risk, and we thought Cooper was quite risk averse. Now, something I said in the last stage, this will decide what Cooper is. Is he going to risk it and try, or is he going to revert back and go, I'm going to try and play not to lose? And I think that's probably the best way I can say with Cooper's formations that he's used, apart from this game going back. He's tried to not lose the games. He's not tried to win the games. And the first 45 minutes, we tried to win the game. And if it weren't for some stupid decisions, which I'm not blaming people for, but there were stupid decisions, we would have got something. They could have had a few opportunities because the players switched off. And this is the thing where I won't blame Cooper for this. I'm blaming the players. The players individually, at the times where we've talked about the unsustainable model of individual brilliance has won us games or has got us moments out of games rather than a sustained period of attack. The reverse, I say, is here. The formation system needs to be committed to more, and the individuals need to take accountability for their actions, and they're giving the soft goals away, and we need to start getting better at that. Now, do I think we're going to play this Enzo ball out from here on outwards? I'm not sure. I think we need to give it a couple more games. I think Man United is a great opportunity in the Cup. Then we've got Ipswich, who I think if we play this way, we can get a win there. And Man United in the other one, the other Man United one, in the Premier League. Brain going. It was only like what, as I'm recording, like 7 hours before since I've finished the recording, I've started this one. But I'm so excited to talk about this. Why am I excited? Well, first of all, because we've seen this formation, we know these players can play this formation, the majority of them. Ricardo's a little bit rusty. You've got Buonanotte that needs to adapt to the system, but I still think he's an incredible player. And I'm not, again, it's more developmental feedback rather than just you crap. He just did some stupid stuff at stupid times, and he's got to learn from that. A couple of the things I want to mention. This is another tool in our arsenal. So we have to have a toolkit. And I think at certain times, we need to set up with a formation that's going to be able to play. So against certain oppositions, for the players we bought, I think there is certain players that we should play. And we haven't played them as of yet. So what I mean by that, let me see if I can just get a formation builder out. And I think there is a way of playing this. And against tougher oppositions, we're not going to have this time and space, but we're going to have to play in a slightly different way. So here's how I think. Let me see if I can build this live as we do things. So against a tougher opposition, we're going to have to set up in a different way. And I think we set up, instead of the 4-3-2-4-1 that we've saw so much, we'll set up with a 4-3-3. I'd put in, so here's genuinely how I'd say, imagine we come up against a Man City. If we start to play this way, we're going to get battered. So if we play Winks in this position, then we play again Skip alongside. I think Skip comes back into the team against a top team. Then we play in Diddy on one side as your number 8 that can then box crash as well. On this side, both good defensively. Then I drop in maybe Fatau on one side. Fatau on one side, and I drop in. People might be surprised at this. Are you? That way, you can win the ball back in these good positions, and then you've probably got Vardy up front, Daka maybe when he's fit. So you're playing like a 4-5-1, but this way you're controlling this midfield. You've got Ayew, who's again good defensively, the back of the four, Christensen potentially, the back four that we've seen all season long. But I think this could be a formation that works. And when we're hitting them on the counter, you've got Ayew, Fatau, and Vardy. And then potentially in Diddy coming in. So again, it potentially turns into a 4-2-3-1 with the Spurs boys holding. So I think this could be another formation that could work for us. The idea is with Enzo is it was all formation, all or nothing. And I think against the opposition, and something that Steve Cooper said, we need to amend the formation to the opposition. I'm fine with playing as counter-attack or playing a 4-3-3, but it needs to be against the right position at the right time. Against Southampton, when we played the 4-2-3-1, in that first half, it didn't work. Let's be honest with you. That was worse than the second half against Forest. And Southampton aren't as good as Forest. So the way that we were playing, there was certain players that I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work, but there are some advantages of it. Who else have I not mentioned so far? Buonanotte, Steve Maverick. I think we went through the whole team. Wilfred and Diddy we've been through. And Wilfred and Diddy, as mentioned, it wasn't playing as the high 8. He was playing a little bit differently. So it was like a staggered. So you had Buonanotte, Wilfred and Diddy slightly lower, Harry Winks, and then Ricardo. So it was like a staggered kind of zigzag in the midfield. So they're my thoughts. I probably have some more, but I can't think of any at the moment. I just needed to get this off my chest because I was like, there is elements. The question is, again, what we do from here. And I think what we do from here is we actually go and build on this. And we try and, for the next games, for the next opposition, I think are great examples. Man United, who are in a mess. And I think if we set up defensively against them, I think we lose the game. If we go and attack them, I think they're there to be the got at. And Man United are in a real rough state at the moment. And we need to capitalize on this twice. Hopefully, if Eric Ten Hag is in charge for them 2 games, I think potentially we could beat them in both games if we decide to play this and really commit to the style. And Ipswich is the same thing. When we come to other games like Chelsea, I don't think this formation works. I think the game, so we got, just to go through that. Ipswich, Man United. So we've got, again, Man United in the Cup. Then we've got Ipswich, Man United again. And then we've got Chelsea. I think the Chelsea game is where you start to see the 4-3-3. Break them down, be physical, run into them, take the ball, twist it over, give them the possession, etc. I think it's a really good way of doing things. So yeah, they're my thoughts on the game. Another half an hour of me just rambling, but hopefully you saw a little bit of what I was trying to get at. And I think the majority of fans are behind this. However, just again to getting my thoughts. Leave your thoughts down below in the comments. Hopefully, you've enjoyed this video for another bonus content, you lucky people. And thank you for all of you that made it towards the end. I really appreciate your time. And we'll see you all in the next video. So goodbye.